Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with SureCall. Today's host is Jason Hayes. He is their national account, and he'll be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to submit them in the question box and answer them at the end of today's presentation. Jason, thank you so much for being with us. Looking forward to it, and I am finished for now. Please go ahead and take it on over.
Okay, great. Thanks, Julie. I appreciate you having me back. Always a good time with you guys. And today is a bit of a review. For those of you that were on the webinar last time, you remember that we talked about some small home and office solutions with a specific focus on the Fusion for Home bundled kit. And we're going to revisit that today and kind of dive into it again. And so I've got my introductory screen up. I hope you can all see it. Small home office options for boosting indoor cellular coverage. And this answers the question, what options do we have that we can offer customers for a residential or a small office area? So let's go ahead and jump right into it today. In-building solutions on the smaller end, we consider these all consumer products, and they're all packaged nice and neat in a complete bundled kit, meaning they have the booster, they have cable, they have the antennas, they have the connectors and the power supply, and essentially everything that a customer needs to take this out of the box, plug it in, and have it work pretty quickly. So for all intents and purposes, a lot of these are very plug and play. On some of the larger solutions like the Fusion for Home and the bigger ones above and beyond that, some installation is required. The first two units, though, that we're going to talk about are fairly plug and play. You can literally take them out of the box, plug them in, and connect a few parts, and you're good to go. But all of SureCall's boosters that you're seeing here are sold as complete kits, and that's a requirement by the FCC. All of them have a 3-year warranty. All of them include lifetime pre- and post-sales and tech support, and that's something that I'll touch on again at the end. But you can see I've got the arrow pointing on the Fusion for Home. We're going to kind of specifically talk about the Fusion for Home. But first, leading up to that, I want to talk about the EZ4G and the Flair. So the EZ4G is good for up to about 8 simultaneous users, which in a real small application is more than enough. Keep in mind, this increases 4G LTE data speeds, decreases dropped calls. So this is going to work for 3G, 4G, LTE voice and data for any phone, any carrier in the U.S. And Canada, and will boost signal for all of those signals simultaneously. The EZ4G, like I said, it's plug and play, and as you can see from my diagram here, the main component of the booster is that kind of that Hershey Kiss looking desktop antenna, if you will, that also has the booster built into it, and it's designed so that it can be set up at least 30 feet away from that from the booster antenna that goes in the window. So you can see that satellite dish or that round-looking antenna is designed to mount in a window where you get the best signal. So this product is perfect for up to 2,000 square feet, a basement, a home or an office, a small area, maybe a dormitory or an apartment building where it just doesn't make sense to put an antenna out on the roof, or maybe it's difficult to do so. So this kit, you essentially set it up with the desktop antenna on the top of a countertop, a desk, a table, a refrigerator, someplace central, and it'll broadcast that boosted signal up to about 2,000 square feet. Again, voice and data boosted there. MSRP on this is about $299. And like we already talked about, it's a complete kit bundled with everything and ready to go. The Flair is the same kind of an idea. The Flair is only different in the sense that the booster is built into this desktop piece here, and the antenna that comes with it is an outside omnidirectional antenna that mounts on the roof. So if you're in a situation where you have the ability to put an antenna on the roof. Typically, the higher the better. This is a great one, and this gives you a little bit more of a coverage area. It's still right around 8 to 10 simultaneous users, but the coverage area on this is up to about 2,500 square feet, and the MSRP on this is the same, that $299. Just like the Easy 4G, the Flair is all carriers, voice and data simultaneously, and so it's going to work for anybody. One kind of an interesting side note on all of the products that we're going to talk about, these are essentially repeaters. These cell phone boosters repeat the cellular signal and enhance it. So they're very different from like something that you would get from the carrier. The devices that you would get from a carrier obviously are carrier specific, but also they're very limited on number of users, and they actually have to pair or connect with the specific device that's going to be using that boost. Whereas a SureCall signal booster or a repeater like this, nothing has to actually pair or connect to the phone. Your phone's just getting that stronger boosted signal. And so even if you have somebody that's never been to your home before and wants to benefit from that boosted signal, just by walking into that area, their phone's going to light up and they're going to notice a difference. As far as their phone is concerned, it just thinks it's closer to the cell tower, so it's getting a stronger signal, which of course improves performance on voice and data and all of that stuff, but also prolongs the battery life. In other words, the phone or the device doesn't have to work as hard to find a signal, so your battery lasts a lot longer. So that's just kind of some of the benefits there. So let's jump right into the Fusion for Home, and keep in mind I kind of highlight our Yagi panel Fusion for Home kit, but we have quite a few different kit variations. The Fusion for Home is kind of our standard whole home booster system. So coverage on this is up to about 4,000 square feet. Just like the other two that we've talked about, though, this is going to boost signal for voice and data, 3G, 4G, LTE for any phone and any carrier, really any device that works off of cellular signal. And we've got a bunch of different kit variations. All of them are complete. All of them include cable and connectors and power supply and everything you need to make it work. Some of them are just bundled with variations of antenna configurations and things. So the one you see pictured here has the directional Yagi outside antenna. That's the roof mount antenna. And then it has the inside panel antenna that can mount on a wall or in the ceiling behind the drywall or not, just depending on the application. We have other kit configurations that include omnidirectional outside antennas or dome antennas for a little bit different look and feel for the ceiling mount. So just depending on what your customer needs, we've got all those available. I picture this one because it's one of our more popular kit configurations. This is what the packaging looks like on the Fusion for Home, and so this is what the customer would see on the shelf or actually take and set up in their home. And again, that complete kit is bundled and boxed in this retail packaging. So everything they need is in the box. The Fusion for Home is by far the best overall value. It delivers unrivaled performance with cutting-edge technology, reducing dropped calls, missed calls, etc., and extends voice, text, and 4G LTE data. So everything is smoother, sharper, faster, reducing dropped calls, and this will work in either areas that are kind of remote where you still have a little bit of signal, or areas where you might have a great signal outside, but you have a metal roof or a lot of concrete or something like that that's really blocking the signal. So this will work great in all of those scenarios. And the reason I mention that is, keep in mind, with a cell phone signal booster made by anybody, we are always at the mercy of the signal that we're starting with. And so if you literally don't have any signal, we don't have anything to boost. But keep in mind, too, the booster, any of these boosters have about a 20 to 25 times greater receiver sensitivity than your cell phone alone. So just because your phone says you don't have any bars doesn't necessarily mean that there's zero signal out there. We may have enough signal to grab on and give you 1 or 2 bars. Bars are very subjective, depending on the carrier, depending on the phone, etc. And so just keep that in mind. But yeah, we always tell our customers, we have to have a little bit of water before we can splash around. So without any signal at all, we won't have anything to boost. So again, coverage up to 4,000 square feet on the Fusion for Home. You can see the nice little diagram there that basically shows the booster and the cable connecting the antenna on the roof, and then the cable connecting the inside antenna, and kind of the different cable lengths there and the power supply. It just needs to be somewhere where you can plug it in. And depending on the kit configuration, this one retails for anywhere from $399 to $499 and is a lot of bang for your buck for that kind of a coverage area. So the Fusion 5S is even on the higher end than the Fusion for Home. This one goes up to about 6,000 square feet. Again, voice and data, and typically comes with a couple of indoor antennas because 6,000 square feet, you typically need more than one antenna inside. But same idea as the Fusion for Home. It's gonna have various kit configurations. You may have a customer that wants it with an Omni outside antenna and a couple of domes. What I'm showing here is a directional Yagi outside antenna with 2 panel inside antennas. So really just depends on the layout of the building and what your customer is looking to do. That directional outside antenna is more or less designed to bring in one carrier's frequency or one carrier's signal more strongly than the other. So you can actually point it at the nearest cell tower for, say, Verizon, if Verizon is what you're most interested in. And the Fusion 5S actually has the ability to attenuate or shut down other frequencies. You can see those little manual attenuation knobs. So if you're just looking to bring in Verizon and nobody else, you can shut all of them off, or you can come back in and turn them back on or optimize them. And it's pretty straightforward and pretty simple to do, but it gives you the ability to really dial it in. So the value proposition on the Fusion 5S, it's quite a bit more expensive than the Fusion for Home, which is why we always highlight the Fusion for Home. But if you have a bigger home or a bigger area, an office space or something like that, this will give you up to a 6,000 square foot signal boost, coverage boost. And MSRP, depending on the kit configuration on this one, is anywhere from $850 to almost $1,100. So definitely the Fusion for Home is far and away your best value. So I'll go ahead and pause for a minute and take any questions that anybody has before I give you the final bits of information on tech support and our assets, etc. Any questions out there?
Hi, Jason. Yes, there are some questions. Thanks for that presentation. So let's go ahead and get started with this first one. Do you have any specific models that would not work in replacement for the antennas for the Flair?
For the Flair, the only antennas that I wouldn't put with the Flair would be any of our indoor inside antennas. But the Flair comes with the booster is actually built into that inside desktop or countertop antenna. You could swap out that outside signal catcher antenna that's designed to be in a window. You could put an omnidirectional or a directional Yagi outside antenna in its place. And I'd have to check. You may need a connector in order to do that, but I think you're good. Either of those two outside antennas would work.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Next question here. Can you talk about your list of supported carriers? Is it everybody, or is it what do we have to be aware of?
Yeah, great question. No, it actually is everybody in the U.S. and Canada, and essentially, if you're talking frequency range, it's your basic 700 megahertz all the way up to 2700 megahertz. kind of wideband coverage. If you want to get really specific and dive into the nitty-gritty, there is a carrier in Canada that still uses, in some really remote areas, a frequency range that is not covered by our booster, and it's I can't remember the exact frequency. It's in that 800 megahertz range. It's like 840 to 862 or something like that. That's a frequency range that we just don't cover in the U.S. It's not really used in the U.S., and it's just one little section of that 800 megahertz band. I've come across that in the past. It's super rare. For all intents and purposes, we cover all frequencies and carriers in the U.S. and Canada, but to be fair, I have come across that one, and it's a Rogers frequency, typically outside of urban areas, way out and remote, where they're boosting signal in a cottage or a cabin or something like that. I've come across that twice in my 13 years of doing cell phone signal boosters and selling these. So it's unlikely that you'll ever come across that, but that's a great question. I hope that answers it for you.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. Excellent answer. Next question here. Is the outside antennas for the Flair unit, are they weather and water resistant? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. Yeah, the outside antennas that are designed to be mounted on the roof are definitely weatherproof. So they can take the heat, they can take the sunshine, they can take the snow and the ice and the weather and everything. Specifically the Yagi, the directional Yagi, it needs to be oriented a certain way. So that plastic cover over the antenna, it'll show an arrow and it'll say, this side needs to be up, and that's because there's a little hole in that plastic cover that allows any moisture that might get inside there to kind of drain and drip out. So as long as it's oriented correctly, those are definitely weatherproof and will last for years to come. So yes, all of those are weatherproof.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I got another question here for you. Does SureCall have any sensors that would help where to point the external antennas to get the best coverage? Is there such a thing?
Yeah, there is such a thing. Great question. We do have a signal meter tool that you can purchase. It's not like a spectrum analyzer or anything as expensive as that, but it is about a $400 handheld unit that really dives into the specifics of which carrier frequencies are boosting at what rate. And so you can actually, if you have one of those, you can connect it to that directional Yagi, and as you move the Yagi around, you'll be able to see which frequencies are coming in more strongly, and by doing so, you can really zero in on where to point that antenna to really bring in that one frequency that you're looking to boost. There are a lot of websites too, carrier websites and other websites that I could put you in touch with. I don't have any of those pulled up today, but I can send something out if you want to give me a call. My contact info is at the end of this presentation, and you can shoot me an email or give me a call, and I'll send you the link. But essentially, it's kind of a map of where the cell towers are for a specific zip code, and they break it down by county and by zip code and different things. And so if you're needing something specific, if you have a customer that says, hey, I really need to know, where's the T-Mobile tower that's closest to me and where I'm at, we can give you access to those websites and those maps to pull that up. Short of that, though, you'd have to buy the signal meter, which is about a $400 retail.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason. So this kind of rolls into this next question. Someone here is asking, is there such a thing as a dual SIM card model that can support multiple carriers at the same time?
So not sure what that question is getting at, a dual SIM card model. All of our boosters boost signal for all carriers simultaneously, But as far as locating, I think the question is getting at if you're trying to zero in on a cell tower, maybe you could have a dual SIM or try to zero in on just two, I guess, is maybe where the question's headed. And the answer is no, we don't have anything that can do that. If you're using a directional Yagi, keep in mind it's bringing in all carriers just like an Omni is, but it's specifically zeroing in on one more strongly than the other. So you're still gonna be able to boost all carriers at the same time, but whichever tower you're pointed at is going to blow the others away. It's going to be way stronger. We don't have a way to split that and bring in two carriers right now, and I've never heard of anyone really using two Yagis or anything like that. It gets a little hectic, so.
Understood. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate that. Another antenna question here. For the Flair and the outside antenna, is it strictly for outdoors or can we use it indoors?
Is that talking about the outside antenna? Can it be used inside?
Yes, that's the question.
Oh, okay, yeah. Great question. And yeah, the answer is you can mount that omnidirectional antenna. It works better if it's on the roof, but yeah, I've had people mount it next to a window or something like that inside, and you can definitely do that. It is designed to be outside on the roof, and we always tell people the higher the better. That's where the best signal's going to be found typically. But the short answer is yes, you can install it inside and it will work. And I've had people do that and reported that, it works pretty well. So you can definitely do that. If you need to install an antenna indoors, to bring the signal in, my recommendation would be that signal catcher antenna, that round antenna that's designed to mount in the window. It's just going to work a little bit better and bring in a stronger signal because that's what it's designed to do.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason. Can you go ahead and give us your contact information and an overview of customer and technical support for us?
Yeah, thanks, Julie. I've always got this at the end of my presentation. I probably should switch it around, but our in-house tech support is based in the U.S. out of Fremont, California. 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is kind of standard, but we just brought on a new team that can actually take calls 24/7. So if you call outside of those normal hours, you'll still get somebody. And that's the number there, 888-365-6283. And this is a link to our SureCall asset library. Feel free to give that to your customers or use it yourself. From this link, you'll be able to download images, spec sheets, install diagrams, guides, catalogs, you name it, anything that you can think of that'll give you product information and photos and that kind of thing. We also have our SureCall University on YouTube that you can go to and look at product videos and install videos and Q&A videos and really anything that you can think of there as well. And of course, my name is Jason Hayes. I'm the National Account Manager. There's my cell phone number there and my email. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions or anything that you might need. I'm happy to jump in and help.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason, for answering all those questions. And thanks for everyone for attending today's webinar. If there are any further questions and you'd like to contact us, please contact your sales rep here at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown here today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And remember, this webinar presentation has been recorded and it will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can view it again. Appreciate all of your time, everybody, today. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, Jason Hayes. Talk to you again soon.
Thanks again, everybody. Have a good one.
You're welcome. Bye-bye now.